There is a theft happening inside your body right now, and most people over 60 have no idea it is occurring. While you sleep, while you eat, while you sit reading these words, your muscles are disappearing. Not dramatically, not all at once, but steadily, like sand slipping through fingers you cannot close. The medical term is sarcopenia, but the lived experience is far more visceral. It is the moment your leg trembles on a step you have climbed 1,000 times. It is the jar lid that will not turn, the grocery bag that feels heavier than it should, the fall that comes from nowhere. The numbers tell a story your mirror might hide for years. After 40, the human body begins dismantling its own muscle tissue at a rate of 3 to 8% each decade. By 70, you may have lost nearly half the strength you carried in your youth. This is not poetic exaggeration. This is documented, measured decline that affects balance, mobility, and ultimately survival. The difference between walking independently and needing assistance often comes down to muscle mass you lost years before the consequences became visible. What drives this erosion is not mystery. It is malnutrition, specifically protein deficiency, hiding in plain sight. Nearly half of older adults consume inadequate protein, and when the body cannot find this essential nutrient in food, it harvests from the only reservoir available, your own tissue. Muscle becomes fuel. Strength becomes sacrifice. The result is a body that weakens from the inside out, with reflexes that slow, balance that falters, and a risk of falling that doubles or triples. Those falls are not mere inconvenience. They are fractures, hospitalizations, and the gateway to dependency that terrifies every aging person who values their autonomy. Yet the reversal of this process is not pharmaceutical. It is not surgical. It is shockingly simple and profoundly overlooked. Research demonstrates that seniors who increase their protein intake to approximately 1.2 grams per kilogram of body weight each day experience 40% less muscle deterioration. The cure for weakness, in many cases, is sitting on grocery store shelves, waiting to be recognized and consumed with intention. Consider tofu, which most people dismiss as bland or forgettable. 100 grams of firm tofu delivers 8 grams of complete protein, meaning it contains every essential amino acid your body cannot manufacture on its own. This matters because amino acids are the raw material of muscle repair. Think of your muscles as structures built from thousands of tiny bricks. After 60, your body hesitates when laying new bricks, leaving gaps that widen into frailty. Tofu provides the materials to keep building, to seal those gaps before they become chasms. Beyond protein, tofu carries calcium, magnesium, and iron, nutrients that serve both muscle and bone. Its soy-derived compounds called isoflavones have shown potential for reducing inflammation and protecting skeletal density. For someone who struggles to chew tougher meats or whose stomach rebels against heavy foods, tofu becomes a gentle alternative that still delivers strength. Studies published in nutrition journals have found that older adults who incorporated soy proteins like tofu into their diets showed muscle protein synthesis rates nearly equivalent to those consuming animal products. This is not compromise. This is equivalence wrapped in accessibility. Then there is cottage cheese, sitting unpretentiously in refrigerators, often overlooked in favor of flashier foods. 100 grams contains 11 grams of protein, but the true magic lies in the type. Cottage cheese is rich in casein, a protein that digests slowly, releasing amino acids into your bloodstream for hours after eating. While other proteins spike quickly and fade, casein operates like a time-release capsule, feeding your muscles while you rest, while you sleep, while you live your day unaware of the repair happening inside you. This sustained delivery addresses a critical problem in aging bodies. As you grow older, your ability to store and utilize protein diminishes. A quick protein source might trigger brief muscle repair, but then the effect vanishes, leaving muscles starved again. Casein solves this by extending the feeding window. Research in nutritional science has shown that seniors consuming casein before bed experienced improved overnight muscle protein synthesis. Their bodies rebuilt strength in darkness, turning sleep into a period of restoration rather than further breakdown. Cottage cheese also brings calcium and phosphorus, minerals that fortify bones while muscles grow stronger. It is low in fat compared to many dairy products, offering protein density without excess calories that strain aging joints. For someone who wakes feeling stiff and weak, adding cottage cheese to the evening routine can transform mornings. The body receives what it needs exactly when it needs it, and the result is a subtle but undeniable return of capability. Quinoa enters this conversation as something different entirely. Though it resembles a grain, it is actually a seed, and one that carries 14 grams of complete protein per 100 grams when cooked. Complete proteins from plant sources are rare, making quinoa exceptional. It delivers all 9 essential amino acids while also providing complex carbohydrates and fiber, which means it builds muscle and sustains energy simultaneously. This dual function matters profoundly for seniors. Muscle loss is devastating, but so is the exhaustion that prevents movement, that keeps people sedentary, that creates a cycle where weakness breeds more weakness. Quinoa breaks that cycle. It fuels the body with slow, steady energy instead of sugar spikes that lead to crashes and poor food choices. It carries magnesium to relax muscles, iron to maintain oxygen flow to tissues, and antioxidants that protect cells from the oxidative damage that accelerates aging. For someone replacing refined grains with quinoa, the change is not just muscular. It is energetic, cognitive, stabilizing. Imagine feeling less shaky during afternoon activities, less desperate for naps, more capable of sustained effort. That is quinoa working not as medicine but as foundational fuel, the kind that lets a body remember what vitality feels like. It is naturally gluten-free and gentle on sensitive digestive systems, making it accessible even to those whose stomachs have become particular with age. These three foods, tofu, cottage cheese, quinoa, represent only the beginning. They are the entry point into understanding that muscle loss is not inevitable destiny but a condition that responds to deliberate nutritional intervention. What you eat determines whether your body shrinks or sustains itself, whether independence remains or slips away. The choice is laid out in simple, available foods that require no prescription, no specialist, no complex preparation. Just recognition, intention, and consistency. The ocean holds protein sources that most people walk past without recognition, dismissing them as exotic or unfamiliar when they are actually among the most potent muscle-building foods available. Mussels, for instance, deliver 24 grams of protein per 100 grams when cooked. That single serving provides nearly half the daily protein requirement for many older adults, and it arrives in a form the body absorbs with remarkable efficiency. These are not just amino acids. They are amino acids accompanied by something equally vital for aging bodies, omega-3 fatty acids. While protein reconstructs muscle fibers torn by use and time, omega-3s reduce the inflammation that slows healing and intensifies pain. For seniors dealing with stiff joints, swollen tissues, or bodies that recover slowly from exertion, this combination addresses both the building and the healing simultaneously. Research has demonstrated that omega-3 supplementation can enhance the muscle-building response to protein by as much as 30% in older adults. This means muscles do not just feed your muscles. They make those muscles more receptive to growth, more capable of using the nutrients you provide. Beyond this dual action, muscles carry iron, zinc, and vitamin B12, nutrients that improve oxygen delivery, support immune function, and maintain nerve health. Strong muscles are useless if the nerves cannot fire properly, if circulation cannot deliver what tissue needs, if the immune system cannot protect against the infections that hospitalize vulnerable seniors. Muscles address the whole system, not just isolated parts. And unlike red meat, they do this without saturating your body with fats that strain cardiovascular health. For someone who has avoided seafood or relied on fried fish, the shift to steamed mussels can feel like discovering a resource that was always there but never utilized. Imagine legs that feel steadier during evening walks, mornings where stiffness eases rather than persists, a body that responds to movement instead of resisting it. This is not wishful thinking. This is documented physiology, the natural result of feeding tissue what it actually needs rather than what habit dictates. Buckwheat enters this conversation as another misunderstood food, often mistaken for a grain when it is actually a seed related to rhubarb. 100 grams of cooked buckwheat groats contain 25 grams of protein, placing it alongside many meats in density. But buckwheat does not stop at protein. It carries fiber, magnesium, and a rare antioxidant called rutin that strengthens blood vessels and improves circulation. This is where buckwheat becomes transformative rather than merely adequate. As you age, muscles weaken, but so do the vessels that supply them. Compromised circulation means oxygen and nutrients arrive slowly, if at all, leaving muscles starved even when you eat well. Recovery stalls. Fatigue persists. Weakness compounds itself. Buckwheat interrupts this cycle by fortifying both the muscle and the delivery system. It rebuilds tissue while also ensuring that tissue receives what it needs to function. Studies examining rutin have found it improves blood vessel elasticity and reduces oxidative stress, two factors that directly influence how well aging bodies maintain strength. For someone replacing white rice or refined grains with buckwheat, the effects extend beyond muscle. Energy stabilizes. Swelling in extremities diminishes. The body begins operating more efficiently, not because of any single dramatic change, but because multiple systems start receiving support simultaneously. Buckwheat is also naturally gluten-free and highly digestible, making it suitable for sensitive stomachs that reject heavier foods. This matters more than it seems, because seniors often avoid beneficial foods simply because digestion has become unpredictable or uncomfortable. Clams represent another ocean treasure that most people ignore despite their extraordinary nutritional profile. 100 grams of cooked clams provide 26 grams of protein, more than many cuts of steak, and they deliver this protein in a form that the aging digestive system can process with unusual ease. But what makes clams essential rather than optional is their massive concentration of iron and vitamin B12. Iron carries oxygen to muscle tissue. Without sufficient oxygen, muscles fatigue quickly, recovery slows, and even basic activities become exhausting. B12 protects nerves and enables the communication between brain and muscle that makes movement possible. When B12 levels drop, muscles may receive adequate protein but still weaken because the neurological signals telling them to contract are compromised. Research has linked low B12 levels in older adults to significantly higher risks of frailty and muscle loss. Clams address this hidden deficiency that often masquerades as simple aging. For someone experiencing dizziness, fatigue, or mental fog alongside physical weakness, the problem may not be muscle at all but the nutrients that make muscle function. Clams provide both the building blocks and the support systems, the structure and the wiring. They are low in fat, rich in potassium, and carry omega-3s without the saturated fats that burden the cardiovascular system. This is comprehensive support wrapped in an unassuming package that most grocery stores stock without fanfare. Then there is sea cucumber, which sounds more like a curiosity than a food but stands as one of the most protein-dense options available. 100 grams of dried sea cucumber contains 30 grams of protein, an enormous concentration that comes loaded with bioactive peptides. These peptides do not just build muscle. They reduce inflammation and support joint health, addressing two problems that often prevent seniors from staying active enough to maintain strength. After 60, muscle tissue breaks down faster while inflammation in joints makes movement painful. This creates a vicious cycle where pain limits activity, inactivity accelerates muscle loss, and weakness makes movement even more difficult. Sea cucumber disrupts this pattern by feeding muscle growth while simultaneously soothing the inflammation that keeps people sedentary. Research into marine-derived peptides has found strong anti-inflammatory and antioxidant properties alongside enhanced protein synthesis in muscle cells. Beyond protein, sea cucumbers carry calcium, magnesium, and zinc, nutrients critical for bone density and immune resilience. Their collagen-like compounds support connective tissue, providing elasticity and strength to the structures that hold muscle to bone. For someone who has stopped activities they love because of aching joints or persistent fatigue, sea cucumber represents a culturally specific but scientifically validated option. It is not mainstream, but neither is it mystical. It is simply concentrated nutrition in a form that traditional cultures recognized long before modern research confirmed its value. These foods, mussels, buckwheat, clams, sea cucumber, expand the definition of what protein can be and what it can accomplish. They prove that muscle support does not require expensive supplements or pharmaceutical intervention. It requires knowledge, access, and willingness to choose differently. What remains is one final option, the most concentrated of all. Spirulina looks nothing like food. It is blue-green algae, something you might skim off a pond rather than serve on a plate. Yet gram for gram, it stands as the most protein-dense natural substance on Earth. 100 grams of spirulina contains 57 grams of protein, nearly double what you would find in lean meat. For seniors watching their muscle mass disappear despite their best efforts, this concentration represents a turning point, a resource so potent it seems almost unfair that more people do not know it exists. What makes spirulina exceptional is not just density but digestibility. Its protein arrives with a bioavailability rate exceeding 85%, meaning your body absorbs and utilizes nearly everything you consume. There is no waste, no inefficiency, no nutrients passing through unused. For aging digestive systems that have become less effective at extracting nutrition from food, this efficiency matters enormously. You are not just eating protein. You are receiving protein in a form your body can immediately deploy. Spirulina contains all essential amino acids, making it a complete protein despite its plant origin. But it also carries compounds that other foods cannot match. Phycocyanin, a pigment that gives spirulina its distinctive color, functions as a powerful anti-inflammatory and antioxidant. These properties target the hidden forces accelerating muscle breakdown, chronic inflammation and oxidative stress. While you work to build muscle through protein intake, these destructive processes work against you, tearing down what you are trying to restore. Phycocyanin fights both simultaneously, protecting the investment you make with every meal. Research examining spirulina supplementation in older adults has documented improvements in muscle endurance, reductions in fatigue, and enhanced recovery times. In practical terms, this means spirulina does not merely provide raw materials. It improves how effectively your body uses those materials, how well muscles respond to effort, how quickly tissue repairs after strain. This is protein that works harder, that multiplies its own effects through mechanisms most foods cannot access. Beyond protein and phycocyanin, spirulina delivers a micronutrient profile that transforms isolated nutrition into systemic support. iron for oxygen transport, B vitamins for energy metabolism, magnesium for muscle contraction. These nutrients function as enablers, ensuring that the protein you consume actually converts into measurable strength rather than circulating uselessly. Without adequate iron, muscles tire regardless of protein intake. Without B vitamins, energy systems sputter. Without magnesium, muscles cramp and contract poorly. Spirulina addresses not one deficiency but the constellation of deficiencies that prevent protein from fulfilling its purpose. For someone intimidated by spirulina's appearance or unfamiliar taste, the delivery method matters. A single spoonful mixed into water, juice, or a smoothie provides a concentrated dose without requiring you to change your entire diet. This is not a replacement for meals but an amplifier, a way to ensure your body receives what it needs even when appetite diminishes or cooking becomes burdensome. Aging often brings reduced hunger, difficulty preparing food, or simply fatigue that makes eating feel like labor. Spirulina bypasses these obstacles by concentrating nutrition into a form that requires minimal effort. What becomes clear when examining these 8 foods, from tofu to spirulina, is that protein after 60 is not merely recommended. It is foundational to whether you remain independent or slide into dependence. The body you inhabit at 70 or 80 is not predetermined by genetics alone. It is shaped profoundly by the choices you make daily, choices so simple they seem almost trivial until you recognize their cumulative power. Each meal either feeds your muscles or starves them. Each day either builds capacity or erodes it. The sarcopenia that steals strength from millions of seniors is not mysterious. It is predictable, documented, and largely preventable. Yet prevention requires recognizing that weakness is not an inevitable feature of aging but a consequence of malnutrition that society has normalized. When you accept that your body is supposed to weaken, that needing help is natural progression, you stop fighting the process. You accommodate decline rather than resisting it. But the research is unambiguous. Adequate protein intake dramatically slows muscle loss, preserves function, and maintains the physical capacity that determines whether you live on your own terms or someone else's. The difference between walking unassisted and requiring a cane often traces back to decisions made years earlier, meals chosen or skipped, protein consumed or ignored. The difference between climbing stairs and being trapped on a single floor. Between carrying groceries and depending on delivery. Between confidence and fear. These distinctions sound dramatic, but they are lived every day by seniors whose bodies could not sustain the muscle mass needed for basic autonomy. Choosing foods like cottage cheese before bed, adding quinoa to lunch, incorporating mussels or clams weekly, experimenting with spirulina in morning routines, these are not radical interventions. They are adjustments, recalibrations of habit toward biology's actual requirements. The body is not asking for perfection. It is asking for adequate protein, for amino acids, for the micronutrients that make muscle growth possible. When you provide these, the body responds. Strength returns, not to youthful levels perhaps, but to functional levels. To levels that preserve dignity, independence, and the ability to engage with life rather than merely endure it. Your muscles are not separate from your future. They are your future, the physical infrastructure that carries you through remaining years. Feed them with intention, and they will serve you far longer than you might imagine. Starve them through neglect or ignorance, and they will abandon you when you need them most. The choice is neither complex nor expensive. It is simply a choice, made meal by meal, day by day, until the cumulative effect becomes the difference between the life you want and the life you fear. What you eat today determines what your body can do tomorrow. That is not metaphor. That is measurable, documented reality, waiting for you to act on it.